Hi, it's Martin and welcome to another video on my Knit365 YouTube channel. Today's video is my September roundup where I get to sit down and talk about all of the things that I finished in the month of September. And I've just done a quick calculation and I can't believe this is right, but I've got 6.5 finished objects. I know, right? What is going on? This is what happens when you do small projects, but also when you actually focus and have a plan. So we've got lots to share with you, a mix of knitting and crochet. And yeah, it's been a busy old month, and there's a busy month coming up with, coming up with the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. So I hope that you don't mind these extra videos. I know some of you only like to watch the monthly roundups, which is why it was really important for me to sit down and record this morning to share all of the finished objects with you, because I could have spread them out throughout Vlogtober, but I know some of you, it's a bit too much with 2 or 3 videos a week. So I'm really glad that I could just find some time now, sit down, grab a cup of coffee. It's early in the morning, it's like 7:45. I'm trying to get this done before I start work, and get it up and edited. I haven't really woken up yet, so this could be an interesting one. I've already slurred my words twice, so it'll be fine. We're going to hear from Martin in the past. Exciting, because one of the finished objects I did as a test knit and a sample knit, so that has gone off to its new home. So I recorded a little bit of footage because I didn't know when the pattern was going to be released, so when I could share that with you. So I've recorded that and then I'll insert that footage at the end of the finished objects segment, I think. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to start by saying a very quick thank you for all of your support and positive comments on what's coming up. I think it was great to see so many of you loving the fact that Vlogtober was back, and having some extra content. Thank you to those of you that were able to join Irina and myself on the live yesterday, so Sunday the 2nd of October, to talk about the build-up for the Mystery Knit Along. That was great to have so many of you join live, and I looked this morning as I woke up and there are 1,900 views already. So it's great that you're all as excited as Irina and I. So I'm not going to talk too much about the MCAL in this monthly roundup, obviously, because it's a look back, not a look forward. But we'll obviously talk about it a little bit in the what's coming up section. But I think that's probably all of my rambling. I think I want to just get stuck straight into it because we've got quite a lot to talk about today. So I hope you've got your cup of coffee or tea or a gin and tonic, whatever you are in the world. And then sitting comfortably for the next 45 minutes or so as we rattle through my September making. Let's start with crochet. Always a good place to start. So, first finished object is one of my 12 birds. So, last month I was 3 birds behind. So if you are new here, I don't have the book with me on the floor, but you can go and Google it if you are new here and you don't know what I'm talking about. So the British yarn company Toft make the most gorgeous crochet patterns to go with their wool. And I am crocheting the 12 birds of Christmas. So this is Ruth the French hen. I'm trying to think what's the hen? 4 calling bird, 3 French hens. Told you it was going to be a fun one. So 3 French hens. So this is Ruth the French hen. And yeah, there's not much to say about her apart from her super funky Mohican. And she's got a super cute tail, which, unlike some of the other Toft birds where you kind of crochet a standard bird, like a V type tail, these are chains that are just slip stitched directly onto the body in the same way that the hair is done. So last month I was 2 birds behind, plus the bird I needed to do for September. So I've now done 1, so I'm still 2 behind. My plan is to have these done by early December so that I can put them up as part of a bit of festive feature decoration in the flat. So I'm still now, I've got 3 to do because I've still got to do my 2 that I'm behind, plus now of course I've got to do October's as well. On my Vlogmas plans, Vlogmas? Oh God, I'm jumping ahead. On my Vlogtober plans, I said that I wanted to do 2 birds in Vlogtober. So technically I finished this one on the 1st of October. It's my podcast, my rules. So technically this wasn't a September finish, but I did do the head and the body and one of the wings in September. So I'm kind of claiming it. What are you going to do about it? So I'm going to try and do 2 birds this month, so that I'm then almost back on track. Because we're going to Scandinavia in December, everything crossed, on holiday. I want to get these done before I go because I'm going to be doing my Advent while I'm away. I'm probably taking another knitting project with me. So I'd like these to be finished. Or I don't want these to get to December. So I guess technically I need to do December's before December as well. So I've probably got 4 to do. Anyway, babbling. So this is Ruth the French Hen from the 12 Birds of Christmas by Toft. And I love her. Someone asked on the Vlogtober, when I said what type of things you want to see in the month, someone asked if they could see all of the birds that I've made this year, sorry. So I will get all of the birds out and I will do a quick stock check actually, because I'm not sure which ones I've got left to do. Because I've obviously made the majority of them now, even though I'm a couple behind. But I'll get all those out and I will share. So that's that one. And I'm going to have more coffee because I'm losing my train of thought. I don't know why I do these so early. It's easier because it takes a bit of faffing, like to then do the edit, and then I've got to export it because I record these on my phone. This is very low maintenance. I sit on my phone, I sit on the floor and chat to my phone, and then I've got to export it off my phone, and then I've got to upload it to YouTube, and then it takes a while to upload. Then it like processes in the background to get it up to high definition. And I know you're not here for a video editing tutorial, but it's easier for me to do them in the morning because then I've got all day. So if YouTube plays up and it's really slow, then I've got time to allow it to kind of process in the background, rather than I want to get it live by 4 o'clock and I feel like I can finish it, edit it at 3 o'clock and get it ready to go. It doesn't often work like that. So then the next finished object, so my second crochet finished object, and this is the last of the crochet. My second finished object is my Imaginist entry. And again, it's part of something that I do with Toft. So every quarter they have an Imaginist entry. And let me see if I've got an Imaginist postcard. And you watch now because I want to talk. Oh, I have got one. Phew. So the Ed's Imaginist, it's a design competition basically. So in the each quarter, Kerry Lord from Toft selects a colour palette that you need to work with and gives you a set amount of yarn. And you basically use the Imaginist's monster book, which is like a flip book. So you can flick, I don't have it with me, but if you flick, you can see all the heads, all the bodies, all the feet, all the legs. And then you make a monster. And then if you upload the monster to Instagram and you tag Ed's Imaginists, you get entered into that quarter's design competition. And if you are the chosen design, they take your monster and they create it as part of the official Toft brand. And it goes on sale as one of your kits, which is super exciting. And I started doing this at the beginning of the year because I'm not sure that I'm going to say that I am quite creative this month because I'm very, very pleased with my entry. But I didn't think I was that creative, whereby I can follow a pattern, I can adapt a pattern, but I'm not very good at colours, and I often choose colours that the designers made the pattern samples out of. And I'm not really confident enough to kind of then take an idea in my head and just design something myself. So the Imaginists competition was something that really appealed to me because I just get given some colours and I have to work with within the book and find the pattern, but I've kind of got to create and start this idea. So there are some specific videos. There's no specific project video for this quarter's Imaginist entry. I said that I was going to do it and I did film an introduction, but then time went on and before I realised it, I'd actually made the majority of the animal monster creation and yeah, it was too late because I'd finished it and I didn't have any footage. So there's no specific video for this quarter, but if you are interested in more, in finding out more about the Imaginists and what I've done previously, there is a video for the quarter 1 and the quarter 2 entry. So hop back and check those out. But without further ado, let me introduce you to this quarter's, and this is Toftwood. Now, as in previous quarters, I really struggled to get started because I looked at the colours and I really wasn't sure. So we had 25 grams of hyacinth, which is this lovely powdery blue, 25 grams of stone. I think it's stone. And 100 grams of steel. And then you get a little bit of, just need a little bit of white and black to do the eyes. Let me double check that that's correct, that I've given you the right colours, in case you happen to want to go and make your own entry or mirror Toftwood. Stone. I was right. I should believe myself more. And I really struggled to get started because I looked at it and with a predominantly grey colour palette, I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. And then as September came around, it was actually Toft's, it was the Edwards Menagerie's 10th birthday because Kerry learnt to crochet while she was pregnant with her son, Edward, hence Edwards Menagerie. And the first creation that she taught herself to make and the first design that featured was the elephant, Bridget the elephant. So I was like, oh my God, right, that's my entry. I'm going to do an elephant monster. And that's what we've got. So I basically did the standard monster shape for the head and the body. And then the head in the book is head 4. So that we've got these lovely rabbit ears. But I also did head 6 because I wanted to do some hair because he needed something else. So I kind of given him this little Mohican spike. So we've got head 4 and 6, arm 7, because he's got plant arms, like leaves, and then feet 23, which are bird's leaves. Bird's leaves? Bird's legs. Told you it was early. And then to give it that added monster effect then, there's a free download from Toft if you buy the Ed's monster book from Toft directly. So you get a free PDF with some wing patterns. So I crocheted then some monster wings for added spookiness. And I just absolutely love him. And I came up with a backstory and I put this on Instagram with my entry. So let me just read it for you. So meet Toftwood. My entry for this quarter's Ed's Imaginist competition by Toft. Part elephant, part bunny, part bird, part plant. Toftwood is the result of an experiment that went wrong when evil scientist Keralax spliced together menagerie designs when trying to create the ultimate elephant monster. Toftwood lives in the dungeons of HQ, never allowed to see daylight for fear of scaring the alpacas. So I said at the beginning of the year that I wanted to do this to be a bit more creative, and I didn't think I was that creative, and all of a sudden my mind started going, and I came up with Keralax because obviously Kerry from Toft, and Kerry's daughter is Alex, and we've got Alexandra's Garden coming next year as a plant specific project book. So yeah, Toftwood. And then for added scariness, obviously he's lost an eye, so he's only got a cross now, as most monsters have. So there we go. So that was my entry for Imaginists. and I'm super excited. I love him. I think he's very creative. I think he's hit the brief. But then, like I've said, it's not, for me, taking part is, obviously everyone says it's about the taking part. I would love to win. I think everyone would love to win. And if you come as a runner-up, you get a silver patch. And if you've been here for a while, you know I love the Toft patches, kind of like a bit of an addiction to, I need all the patches. So I'd love to get a silver patch and come as a runner-up, even if I didn't get a gold patch and I won. But who knows? I've entered the other two and I've not won anything. There are so many entries. I genuinely don't know how Kerry chooses the winners. But I feel happy with Toftwood. The new boxes, the new colours have been released for this quarter, and there's red. So obviously they're making you think about Christmas. I need to think about some kind of Christmas monster. But that was my second finished object for September, and another crochet object. So I hope that you love Toftwood. And I'm sorry that there was no project specific video. It was just a bit crazy. But I hope you don't mind me spending a little bit more time now talking you behind the scenes of how I came up with this crazy monster. So there we go. That's two of my crochet finished objects. Let's move on to knitting. So these weren't, oh, I've just realized we didn't do a declaration of works in progress. And some of you are probably going, what is it? Where are we? Now, I think this might be wrong. I need to go back and audit the previous months, but according to my list, I only have 12 finished objects. Now, I thought I had 16 last month, but I might have miscounted last month, which is why I'll double check it and I'll report back next month. But according to my little list, I've only got 12 finished 12 works in progress now, which sounds like I need to cast some things on. I'm joking. Yeah, I've got 12, and that's possibly right, because last month I had my test knit, which is now finished. I finished my blanket, which we'll come on to. Spoiler. So that would be 12. That would take me to 14, not 16. I don't know. Anyway, as it stands this morning, I think I've got 12. This is one of the problems of having lots of works in progress. You're not really sure how many you've got. Hey-ho. Right. The next finished object, I have 2 finished objects, and I have 2 hats, which I will share. So this, again, Toft heavy episode. This is the Toft Quarterly that gets released quarterly. And this is the autumn edition that came out a couple of months ago. And Kerry did a knit along that finished on the weekend to make this hat that's on the front cover. So this is the Merlon hat. And I don't think there's another picture that I can show you. There is one. And it's just a lovely simple beanie. So obviously a beanie without the pom-pom in the book, and then with a pom-pom on the front cover. And I love a crochet or a knitted hat, especially a chunky hat. Ball mount problems, I obviously get a cold head in the winter, so I do love a hat. And I decided that I was going to enter because also I got to use my stash. So these 2 hats have been knit with stash yarn, Polish the Halo. So I swatched. I know, who am I, right? Because I've never really done anything this big. So this was done on an 8mm needle. So I swatched so that I could check my tension, and I got my tension bob on. This is why I don't tend to swatch, because I'm usually just about right, kind of 1 stitch out, and I'm not really bothered about 1 stitch. So I swatched, and this was my first pattern, or this was my first hat. And I love the mild effect. I really do. You can absolutely see how warm and thick it is. And for my head, this is the large size. There were 2 sizes in the pattern. This is the large size, and it's the perfect beanie for me. I would love this. But the only thing I wasn't 100% about is the colours marl together brilliantly because I held 2 yarns double. But you can, like, I've got to kind of point out the diamonds. I think you can make them out. But if you look at the one on the cover, you can really see in a single colour how the pattern appears. So I made this one for myself. The pattern called for Toft chunky yarn on an 8mm, but because I wanted to kind of see what I had in my stash, I didn't have any chunky in my stash, but I did have some Aran yarn from Toft. So I actually held the yarns double to create a chunky. So I think lots of yarns do this, but especially for Toft yarn, you basically double them up. So you have a double knit, 2 double knits held together will give you an Aran, 2 Arans held together will give you a chunky. So you can substitute yarns and colours throughout the range. So I did this in in camel and cocoa that I held together with an Aran. So I've got this lovely mild effect, and I really love the colours. And actually, I've still got my MCAL kit on the floor from last night's live. There's definitely a brownie theme going on this autumn. Oh, I'm wearing my t-shirt. I blame Mark entirely for this autumnal vibe that he's bringing into the flat. So I think it will be lovely to have kind of an autumnal wardrobe of lots of browns. So that was the first one that I did. And then when I finished it, I was like, yeah, I like it, and it'll be perfect as a hat, and it was a great stash buster, but you can't necessarily see the pattern as much. And Mark actually said, oh, well, I really like it as well. Could you make me one? And I was like, oh, let me see what other yarn I have in my stash. And that's where we then have a second one. And now in this second version, you can see the pattern a lot clearer. So this is going to be Mark's Merlon hat. Although they're the same size, and we could probably just share them. There's not many things we can share, clothing-wise. We can't even share socks. He's like, oh, your feet are bigger than mine. You stretch them. We might be able to share a hat. And then what I did is I did the same thing. So I held yarn double, but I did a fade this time. So we started out again in the same way as my original one started, with the cocoa and the camel. And then I dropped the cocoa and I carried on with the camel, but I introduced fudge. And then I dropped the fudge and then carried on with, I'm going to get this wrong, so I'm going to check what I wrote down on the Instagram. So we started with cocoa and fudge on the bottom. Can you still see that? Yeah. Cocoa and fudge on the bottom. Then we went into fudge and camel for this line here. Then we went into camel and oatmeal for here. And then we went oatmeal and cream at the top. And then all I did is I did 7 rows in each colour. And then this final section, I did like 2 rounds in just the cream. Then I did another round in the oatmeal and the cream, just to give a slight fade into the crown. And I really like it. So I'm going to pop a picture on screen now. So that's Mark and I wearing our hats together, because we're hat guys, his and his, matching. And yeah, so it's super speedy projects. This one I did as an impulse on Saturday morning, and it took me about 2 hours to do the whole thing. And as a great stash buster, these are 100 grams each in weight. So I used pretty much all of the cocoa that I had for this. I had just enough left to do the brim on this one. And I really loved the idea of fading it, where I didn't have enough of one colour, but by fading it and moving it up, I was able to adapt it and make the pattern. So yeah, I'm super happy with these. Did you take part in the Toft knit along? Let me know. What I loved about it is there was loads of people who took part for the first time, who were crocheters from the Toft world but had never knit. And that's what I love about when Kerry does the knit alongs. They're so great patterns to test you if you are brand new to knitting. And all the support, there's daily videos and all the rest of it. So yeah, thanks to Kerry and the team for the knit along. But there are 2 finished hats, so there's another 2 finished objects for the month. I know, right? Okay, so my next finished object, I am calling this a finished object, although I'm literally not going to talk about it because you've had a whole video about it. I'm claiming this as a finished object. As I said with the French hen, I technically finished it on the 1st of October, but it was before this video came out. My channel, my rules. I'm going with this as a finished object, or this is kind of like the half finished object, but Mark's jumper. Because I finished it. I finished the back. And if you watched my video specifically about Mark's jumper, I'm kind of tempted to just put this in a photo frame and stick it on the wall. He's not tempted with that. He wants the front of it. But I'm kind of claiming that this month because it's a lot of work. I've just realized for my works in progress, things I'm working on this month, I don't have this with me, but I have started the front and I've done about a finger of ribbon. So there's not a lot to show you, but I would have shown you the needles where I've done about this much. I cast it on late last night after the Zoom with Irina, or the YouTube live with Irina. So I have started the front and I'm going to continue to work on that now this week until the MCAL starts. So I'm claiming that as a finished object, half a finished object. So that takes us to 3 or 2.5 knitted finished objects. My next finished object is my Habitation Throw. Yay, it's done. So this was a project that I was doing, the Habitation Throw, using yarn from Jude of Stranded Dyeworks, where Jude did a collaboration with lots of LGBTQ+ dyers who all created a skein of yarn in the Pride themed colorways. So this has been a brilliant project. I started this back in July and I hoped to have had it finished earlier, but I didn't. But I did finish it last week. So I am super excited to show you this finished. And what I said as I would do is that because Jude bought all these dyers together, I would talk about each of the dyer so that you can know more about them when it was finished. So I started with the pink, and the pink came from Dan of Boner Yarns. I'll pop all their details below in case you want to go and check them out. The cream is obviously an undyed, so no one was involved in that one. The light blue, which is super cute, is Fiberpunk from Glasgow, so that's Marcus. Then we moved into the purple, and the purple is Hey J Yarn. The normal blue then, or the darker blue, that's Gamer Crafting, Angie and her wife Sarah. The green is Lilith of the Old Maiden Aunt. The yellow is by James Makes Things. And I've used some of James's yarn. I've got some of James's yarn. I've not used it yet. It's in my stash. But I love James's yarn. The orange is by John of Dystopic Fibre. The red is by Creative Anarchy. And then the brown is by Jude himself. And then the black is What Mustard Made. And it was done as part of, so I'll read it. So this June, Stranded has partnered with 9 other LGBTQIA+ dyers to celebrate Pride Month. We've each taken a colour of the progressive Pride flag and put our own stamp on it. Each set of mini skeins sold will raise money for 3 UK-based LGBTQ charities: Stonewall, the Scottish Trans Alliance, and the Black LGBTQIA+ Therapy Fund. So it was a great project during Pride, and I really love that I chose, a bit of a praise for myself now, I really love that I chose the Habitation Throw, because what I wanted to do was find a project that would really show off the yarn, and I think that's what I've done. By having this lovely blanket, I think it really just shows off, and it screams pride, obviously. So yeah, I'm really pleased. And obviously with the temperatures dropping and winter coming, we are all going to be needing to be wrapped up in our woolens. So that was a great project. So thank you to Jude for the collaboration and the yarn. I do need to give a little special mention to my good friend Reese, Glasgow Yarn on Instagram, for saving me with some yarn. So I talked in a previous video that the pattern says when you get to 45% of your yarn used, start decreasing. I was like, I don't follow that logic, because then I'm going to have too much yarn at the end, because I'm going to have 5% of my yarn left over. So I worked out, I think I said in a previous video, I got the green was the halfway point. So I got the green yarn and I rolled it into 2 balls. And then I knit up and kept increasing till I used the end of the first ball. And then I just started decreasing on the green ball. And I'm ploughing on, going on. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm looking for symmetry, then if the green is the halfway point, well, in this one, in the blue here, I've got 2 eyelet rows. In the orange, the yellow, I've got 2 eyelet rows. In the purple, I've got 3 eyelet rows. In the orange, I've got 3 eyelet rows. But all of a sudden then, in the light blue, I had 4 eyelet rows, but in the red, I only had 3. And I was like, oh, what? And I started counting the ridges, and I realized that it wasn't quite symmetrical. And then what I think I was doing is, because I'd memorized the pattern, when I got to the red then, I started counting the actual eyelet rows. And I think I must have missed a couple of decreases out, because I basically had 5 more eyelets on the red section than I did on the corresponding section when I increased out, which meant I wasn't decreasing at the same rate as I had been increasing, which would then explain why I was like, I'm not sure I've got enough yarn left. So I carried on and I spoke to Reese. Reese also got the collaboration, and he made a really lovely cowl, but then said he had lots of yarn left over. So I spoke to him and I was like, I might need some yarn. So he very kindly posted me what he had left of brown and what he had left of black. And then what I decided to do was, from this point onwards, when I realized, I put a couple of extra decreases in to start to compensate. But then I think I didn't need a lot of yarn. I knew that I was almost right. I was just a couple of rows out. But I wanted the brown section to also be 4 eyelet rows, because that corresponded with the 4 eyelet rows on the cream. And I think I got past the last eyelet row. I think I only had like 2 rows to do when I'd run out of the brown. So I used Reese's yarn for the brown, and then I introduced the black, and then I carried on with my own black. And then actually, and this is really annoying, where I then recompensated by putting a couple of extra decreases in, I got to there and I ran out of black. So I needed Reese's black just for this final section. So thank you to Reese for rescuing me. I used hardly anything, so I do need to send the yarn back to him. But I think I was on like 13 stitches, and I just needed to do the final point on the black. And I was like, oh. And it could have been fine. Like with just those, I could have just literally just finished it. It just wouldn't be symmetrical. There was something interesting about the beginning and the end. You can see here, I think probably this is a little bit pointier, whereas this is a bit more rounder. So there's obviously something in my technique with the way that I do my increases, because obviously you started here with 3 stitches. So where I started my increases versus where I did my decreases, that's a little bit pointier. But I haven't blocked this yet, but I'm absolutely claiming it as a finished object. I've sewn all the ends in, and I did the weaving Stephen technique. So you can see here, for example, where I just knit the yarn tail over as I'm knitting the first few stitches. So I did the weaving Stephen, which is brilliant, because then I did secure it in just on a couple of extra stitches, and then I just snipped them off. So it's not been blocked yet, so I'm sure I can smooth that out when I block it, if I block it. I don't think it needs it. I could probably block it and then open up the lace, the eyelets a little bit more. But that was great fun. I hope to have had it finished. Needle at the Ready podcast, the boys were doing a male knit along June, July and August, I think it was, and I was going to take part. I started this, I was like, oh, that could be my entry for their knit along, and I didn't get it finished, so I missed that, but hey ho, I love it. And there's a reel showing my progress. If you follow me on Instagram, I popped a reel up yesterday where I show the blanket progressing as we're going. So if you want to go and check that out, feel free. Oh, that could be the thumbnail. But should we do more of a thumbnail? That could be the thumbnail. So go and check that out if you want to know more about that blanket on Instagram. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5.5 finished objects. The last finished object then, I'm going to pause because I'm going to hand you back to Martin in the past. So I was very, very fortunate to be one of Stephen West's test knitters for the dustling socks that came out a few weeks ago. And yeah, I'm going to pause now and I'm going to insert that footage. So I'll hand you back to Martin of the past because I've already sent the sock off to Gemma of the Little Grey Girl. So he can tell you more about that project. So this is past Martin and I've just finished my sock and it's now blocked. This is a West Knits test knit and this is the dustling sock. So I'll do a quick close-up of that in a moment for you. But of course, if you're familiar with Stephen's patterns and you're familiar with the dustling sweater, then you will be hopefully excited about the dustling sock. So we have this lovely motif that follows, it's 3 patterns. So we have a diagonal motif, I think it's called diagonal rib, then we've got a moss stitch, and then we've got a broken rib, and then it just repeats. So on my sock, this was made, this is the size 3. This sock blocker is Mark's usual sock blocker, and it's probably a 9 UK. So I repeated twice, effectively, the pattern, each of the 3. Then I turned the heel, which is a garter stitch heel. And then you continue the pattern down the foot with just the top half having the pattern, and then the bottom half, as you can see, just this simple flat stockinette etch. And then on the length of the foot, I did 5 repeats. So I did a full repeat and then just the final 2. So I ended mine on the moss stitch. But it's a lovely pattern and it was super quick to knit up because each of these is either a 6 or 8 row repeat, I believe, if I remember correctly. And it's one of those patterns that you can very much kind of like in an hour, you can work through a repeat and then you're like, oh, one more repeat. And before you know it, the sock has grown. And all told, this probably just took me a couple of weeks. I had a work trip to London and I was able to do the final sections and the heel on the train there and back. And then just one evening, I managed to finish the actual foot. So it was a really great pattern. And if I take it off the blocker, the one thing I really like about this that I've never done before is this is a double thick cuff. So you actually cast on and then you knit effectively a double height rib. What you're then doing with a live stitch is you fold that over, and as you continue the next round, you actually pick up a round from the cast on edge with the live edge, and that gives you the folded over double thick cuff, and it's really lovely. It's really squishy. Off the blocker, they look a little bit big and baggy, but it's actually a really lovely fit. I've got a photo that I'll pop on screen now. So that is Mark wearing the sock. I've got another photo actually as well I'll pop on. And you can see it's a really lovely fit. So I was able to get gauge with the pattern. The wool I used is by the little grey girl, so Gemma, and this is Gemma's high twist merino sock base. And for my single sock, I used 47 grams, making the third size. I think the pattern has 5 sizes. I made the third size, which I said is about a UK size 9. That's Mark's foot size. So yeah, so a finished object. For me, it's a finished object in September. I won't be able to show you until the pattern's been released. So I will claim this during my September wrap-up video, but I probably won't be showing this bit of the footage during September. I think the pattern's coming out later in the year, and it's kind of embargoed until the pattern has been released by Stephen, as you would expect. So yeah, so I really loved it. It was such a quick knit, and if you've been following my channel for a while, you've seen I've got a couple of socks on the go, and I'm not really making much progress with them. They don't seem to be growing, yet this one flew off the needles. So I think it's probably a combination of it being a test knit and something exciting and new and interesting to work on, as well as I said, the repeat and the way it happens, that it was very quick to work through. So a West Knit test knit, and this is actually going to be handed over to Gemma as a sample knit for her trade shows when she goes to yarn shows and exhibitions, etc. So I was gifted the yarn by Gemma as a sample knit. So I will now send both of those back to Gem, and she will keep the yarn. So yeah, it was really nice to be able to do another sample knit. You've probably been here, or if you've been here a while, you've seen that I've done another sample knit earlier in the year. I sample knit a shawl for Gem where she got to send me the wool, I knit the item, and then I sent it back, and it was a brilliant project for me to work on, and just the same now with these dustling socks. So I really like it. If I just show you the front, you can see very clearly the pattern on the top of the foot, as you saw in the picture from Mark wearing it, and then just a very simple stockinette flat sole, and then the garter heel, and then a stockinette heel turn. So the pattern is now live. I'll pop the details below. If you're interested in knitting your own pair of dustling socks, go and check that out on Ravelry or westknits.com. And yeah, so I'm going to hand you back to Martin in whatever month he's in, because I don't know when this pattern's coming out yet. So back to him and whatever else he's going to talk to you about. Thanks to him. Yeah, so I guess then it's just on works in progress now then. And then this is kind of similar to what I talked about in my introduction to Vlogtober. I'm trying to get my list. It's magnetic and it was stuck to the crate where I keep my yarn. So the rest of my works in progress are really going to be similar to what I talked about in my Vlogtober video. So of course it's going to be the MCAL, and the MCAL is the priority. So I'm going to see what I can do on Mark's jumper between now and Thursday. And then if I need an interim project, I will probably start another Toft bird, just so that like late at night, if it's 10 o'clock and we popped another episode of Coronation Street or something on and I can't be doing fancy colour work, I can work on a bird. but up to Thursday then. So I've got 4 days this week, and then it's the 3 days this week because it starts on Thursday, doesn't it? And it's usually like 10 a.m. Amsterdam time. So I think it's like 9 o'clock-ish Thursday morning that we'll get the clue. But I'm just going to work on the MCAL throughout October. That's going to be my priority, and all of my knitting time will be getting the clue done. But then if I reach a tricky point in the clue and I need a bit of a break, I can work on a Toft bird or a sock if I just need something different to change my mindset. Because sometimes you find this, if you work on the same project intensively, do you start to make mistakes because you kind of like lose concentration, and you almost need a bit of a palate cleanser, and you need to do something different, even if it's just for half an hour, to then like reset. I find that. So that's going to be the main plan. I'll obviously continue to work on Mark's jumper where I can. But that's a big project, and so is the shawl a big project. So we will see how that goes. And I've got a couple of socks on the go. Second sock syndrome on Mark's Rocker Bunny socks by Angela and Andy from Attic Spin Dye, when I've done about this much of the ribbon. So I need to finish that. So again, I've got a couple of smaller projects planned, and if I can make some progress on Mark's jumper, I will. I joked in my Vlogtober about working on my Hide and Peak, which was the lovely one that I swatched by Max the Knitter. But let's be fair, it's here at the minute. So again, I could probably do this. This is a small bit to work on the ribbon. I'd like to think I could get some done on the colour work, but who knows? You know me. I love being ambitious and setting myself some big goals, and then everything will get done. It'll be fine. But most importantly is going to be the shawl. So yes, expect lots of MCAL and shawl fun. And then a couple of smaller projects probably. And obviously it's Vlogtober. So the November wrap-up I found in the last 2 years when I've done Vlogtober, the November wrap-up, I'll still try to do one in November that talks about what I did in October. For those of you that won't take part in watching all of the Vlogtober videos, I'll sit down and I'll do a wrap-up and I'll talk about everything that I did manage to get done during the month. But it's always a bit of a weird one because I feel like I'm duplicating content sometimes, because I've spent most of the month chatting to you and telling you all about what I've been up to 2 or 3 times a week. And then I just sit down, I feel like I've already talked about this, I've already talked about that. But I know some of you won't watch the Vlogtober videos because there's too much. You like your monthly videos. So I will still do that in November to share what I've been up to. So yeah, very quick works in progress because we're going to start the shawl. I guess then final bit then for this video is the acquisitions section. And we ordered this online. This is a shawl cuff, and we ordered it online from Kitie of the Yarn Whisperer because we saw these on Kitie's stand at Unravel. Mark wanted to go back and get one, and we didn't make it there. So we bought this lovely little shawl cuff. I don't know how it works actually. I need to work. How do I open it? Ah. Oh no, I don't need to open it. Silly me. We'll try and do a live demo. I've not actually done this yet, but I think this is how it works. So Mark wanted this because he's only little, and sometimes the Stephen West shawl is a bit big. So you can put it around your shawl. So I love this. And it's a different way of helping to wear shawls and kind of keep them in position. And I guess you could, like I wear a shawl like this. But I guess you could then do that and you could bob it on through the cuff to keep it tight. So yeah, we got that at from Kitie's website because we didn't have time. We forgot to go back basically and get one. So Kitie makes these himself. And he did this as a custom order. So I'm not sure, I'm sure he'd do this for everyone, but this had like a bronze clip, and Mark wanted the brown in a silver clip. And that's what he did for us. So I'll pop the details to Kitie's website below. Go and check them out. But yeah, we picked this up. Something different. Yarny related, but not yarn. Always good. So that's Mark's. No doubt I might end up wearing it. Oh, it's another thing that we can share. We can't share clothes, we can't share socks, but we can share hats and shawl cuffs. And then the other thing I bought is, I have bought some wool this month, but only, like, I'm really trying, as you all know, not to buy any yarn at all because I have more than enough. But I couldn't resist. Toft came out with a limited edition kit. Of course they did, and of course I needed to have it. So we have the limited edition goat, and I say the limited edition goat because I can't remember the goat's name. Sonia, the Angora goat. And this was a design that Kerry did for Yarndale for the show. So I didn't go to Yarndale this year, but Toft were exhibiting at the show, and it was I think it was a special birthday show, and Kerry created Sonia because it was the first time Toft have gone into mohair. Look at that. So we've got, I think it's buccal rather than buccal yarn, which has got this lovely twist in it. You can just see. I'm not sure how this is going to crochet up because I feel like I'm going to get my crochet hook caught in the little strands. I love mohair, it's so sheepy. So this will be a different type of Toft design where it will follow the standard Toft creation using the double knit, but the body of the fleece on the goat and the hair is made with the mohair. So this is Toft Mohair, and this is 63% mohair, 34% wool and 3% nylon. And this is a 50-gram ball. It is 100 meters or 109 yards approximately. So this is sold out now, and I'm very glad I picked one up because I ummed and ahed. And what I've learned with Toft is there's such a demand for the Toft products. And if you've been here for a while, you know my love of Kerry and Team Toft. And I was very fortunate to go and spend some time at HQ in the summer. And the thing that struck me most about that was that they're such a small but such an efficient team that they do everything themselves, even down to creating these labels. They're all done by hand by the team. So they don't do a new release and they release thousands and thousands of things because it's such a small team. And I love that personalization, that small, not small minds. I love the, what am I trying to say? I love the fact that they're small because the quality of the product is so good because it's cared for and it's done on a small scale compared to a big conglomerate that is chucking tens of thousands of balls of wool out. I just love that kind of that small business touch that they bring. You know what I'm trying to say. It's early. I'm very bad with my words this morning. But I just love, and what I've learned is with any Toft launch, if you want it, you need to get it there and then. They did a hand-dyed over the weekend as part of their Halloween update, and they released some hand-dyed variegated green and white yarn and sold out over the weekend, gone. And everything's dyed by hand in HQ. So it's small batch. That's what I'm trying to say. Small batch products that they're made with care and with love, and once they're gone, they're gone. So I was super happy that I managed to get hold of some of this buccal, like buckle. Yeah, I'm definitely saying it right. I'm sure I am. Anyway, I'm so glad I managed to get hold of some of this. As always, with all my stuff, it will sit in my stash for months, no doubt, until I get around to doing it. But this will be great because I'm probably only going to use about half the ball, I would imagine, on the goat. on her fleece. So then I can use the rest of the yarn for something else, for other monstery type creations in the future. So yeah, so I'm really glad I got that. But that's all I bought this month. How good am I? One kit. Did I buy anything else? I don't think I bought anything else. No, I'm pretty sure that's all I bought. It's all I'm declaring today anyway, because I've not got anything else. I'm looking around at me at the stash, because usually new things just then sit there until I work out where I can put them and hide them away, and there's nothing else staring at me, so I think that's it. So yeah, I think that's the end of this video. That's everything that I wanted to talk about. A very productive month, lots to share with you, which is super exciting. And as I said at the beginning, it's nice when you have a bit of a plan. So it's like, right, I need to finish this, I need to finish this. I want to do the hat knit along. I need to finish my Imaginist. I want to finish my blanket. I need to finish Mark's jumper. And it's nice when plans come together, but I think I'm definitely learning the more I sit and talk to you folks about what I'm working on. I need a plan in my head. It's like, right, this week I'm going to work on that. Then next week I'm going to do that. And by the time I then do that, I can then, and I think I just need a bit of order and a bit of structure to what I'm working on, which is nice. And then look, we have 5 finished objects, 6 finished objects, 6.5. Depends how you feel about the bird and Mark's jumper. But like I said, my channel, my rules, so I kind of feel like I'm claiming them. There we go. So I'm going to leave this video here. I hope that you've enjoyed sitting down with me and hearing about what I've been up to during September. If you want to know more about my October making plans, go and check out the Introduction to Vlogtober video. I talk about an upcoming trip to Alexandra Palace, some other lives, and a Zoom cast-on party that we're doing, Irina and I, for the Mystery Knit Along. So make sure you subscribe to this channel and to Irina's channel if you want to get involved in all of the MCAL fun. We're going live 6 o'clock UK time on Thursday the 6th of October, and then again 6 o'clock Eastern time in America, so that we can do a live cast-on party. So we'll be doing it on Zoom so that it's a two-way communication. So that will be super exciting. So make sure you're subscribed here and over on Irina's Fiber Chat channel to not miss out on any of the MCAL fun and madness. I will be back midweek with an update. I've been filming a bit of progress on some projects for Vlogtober. So I'm going to pop a video up probably on Wednesday, which will summarize my week so far. And then I'll be back towards the end of the week then with some more MCAL fun. So lots coming up. So click that subscribe button if you aren't a subscriber already. Our numbers are growing up. It is amazing to see so many of you joining our community. So thank you very much for being here. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you think about some of my finished objects. What have you finished in the month? Let me know, and let me know what your plans are for October. So I'm going to leave this video there. It's been great fun to chat to you. Slightly longer than I was planning, so I'm probably going to be a bit late for work now, but hey-ho. It'll be fine. So I'll let you go, and until we speak again, happy crafting.